alive. I am alive. I have no idea what state I'm in, but I did tell Brian that if I come back, I want it to be as Cronenbergian as possible. I said like Ed Harris' History of Violence bad.
So why were you such a surprise? Were you able to come like last minute?
Well, that was a total last minute thing that I was going to be able to do this, and he also. I don't think he was sure he wanted to announce that Chilton was back at first, and then he decided, yeah, let's go for it. I mean, I knew that I wasn't dead because if you've read the stories, Chilton becomes Hannibal's tormentor, which is what I was really looking forward to. I was like, you can't take that away from me, man. You know? But I think he just wanted to finally sort of make it an official announcement. I never expected that response. I was like, who cares if Chilton's back? And then the audience is losing their minds. They love me.
Now this is your second series working with Brian. How's it different from last time you were on Pushing Daisies?
Pushing Daisies, we had the writer's strike. That was the biggest thing I remember about Pushing Daisies. It was just I was shooting a third episode for Pushing Daisies that I don't think I ever saw because it was the day the writer's strike started. And that show is a screwball comedy. That show played a delightful clip, and it played with a kind of it was so language-based, and there's a sort of bouncy joy to it. Now, knowing that, when he asked me to do Hannibal, which he asked me to do via text, he said, hey, you want to play Chilton on Hannibal? I kept looking for that bouncy humor. I kept looking to find his sort of voice in it, and he certainly writes it for Chilton. You know, like that's become part of the joy of playing this role is finding Brian inside the Chiltonisms. This is a much darker show to work on. However, it's incredibly fun. Like, Pushing Daisies was a more stressful set in a weird way, and this is it's a fun set. It's an incredibly creative set. You saw even on the blooper reel, like we actually are cracking up all the time. It's so dark that there's nowhere to go except, like, graveyard humor. That's the energy for this one.
Are you still in Law and Order?
I am still in Law and Order, yeah. I know. It's a great showcase between the two. Because, I mean, Chilton's such a jerk. I guess Barbara's kind of a jerk too. But Barbara's basically a good guy, and Chilton has absolutely no moral compass whatsoever. Law and Order turned into a regular gig, completely unexpectedly. It was supposed to be a guest star spot.
You're just so good.
And it's just a great part. It turned into this wonderful part. Whereas Chilton, I'd follow Brian anyway. I really would. I think he's. I've worked with some geniuses in my life. Not a lot of them, but I've met a few, and I think he's one of them. And I think he's doing stuff for television that is like transforming. Honestly, every time you step on set with him, it's thrilling. So it's a fun balance. The crazy part was, at first for me, it was really glamorous. I was like, hey, I'm working in Canada and in New York. And then that got really exhausting really fast. There were days I was in New York, Canada on a Monday, New York on a Tuesday, Canada on a Wednesday, New York on a Thursday. And they would do my scenes out of order and ahead of time. So I'd be doing something from episode 5 while we were shooting episode 3. So I had no idea where we were headed with Chilton because it was all completely out of order.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you mentioned the writing of the Chiltonisms and how fun it is on set. Do they ever let you guys improvise at all when you're shooting?
Yes. Yeah, they do. Generally, with Brian's work, you try to kind of stay on it because his stuff's he's razor sharp. But there's a couple of things that now I'm completely drawing a blank. But there's a couple of things that we have thrown in that he's kept. Just a little throwaway stuff or little comments or that they'll just kind of let us run with. And that's part of what makes the show so creative. It's also, as you get the script, you can talk to Brian that night and say, hey, what if we try this? Or what if I said this? Or like that cane, for instance. I was like, Caroline and I had a conversation in the car. Well, what if I have a cane? Or what if it's one of those like canes that looks like a leopard? Or what if it's what if he never lets it go even though it starts to be apparent he doesn't need it?
Right.
We were coming up with that in the van on the way back from shooting something, and Brian was writing it in.
That's great.
The next day. So with him, you want to trust it, so he'll fine-tune it. But there've been a couple things that we've thrown in on stage.
That's awesome.
It's pretty rare.
How soon will you be?
Go ahead.
How
3
soon will you
seconds.
be back in the next season?
I think the first 3 episodes have to do with chasing Hannibal around, so probably he's back at number 4. I keep hearing the number 4.
Awesome.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, guys.
Thank you.